so much for tuning in. It is Thursday. Thursday ni siku ya clinic ya mfuko, relationship clinic, and we are going to be looking at mental wellness in this whole COVID-19 situation that we find ourselves in, especially within the family setting. That's coming up shortly. Magazeti ziko hapa, some good news in the newspapers for a change. But before we do that, hebu tuangalie utabiri wa hali ya hewa. Now, taking a look at today's weather, my good people in Nairobi, what are we looking at today? Today we are looking at highs of about 25, some cloudy weather here and there. Going down to Mombasa, slightly hotter in Mombasa, highs of 32, possible showers in various places as well. In Nakuru, we are looking at highs of 26 today, partly cloudy skies. And then down in Kisumu Dala, we are looking at highs of 28 with some cloudy weather. Remember, as I always tell you, no matter the weather, it's the weather that you carry on the inside that determines the kind of day that you have. Newspapers, what's making headlines today? At least there's some good news in the newspapers today. Big story, Standard newspaper, a dose of hope. Recovery of fast COVID-19 patients casts ray of optimism on a day the president threw a lifeline to struggling households and businesses through a raft of tax cuts and other measures. This even as the government tightened restrictions with a dusk to dawn curfew as beginning tomorrow. And so there's a summary of what the president said yesterday on the front page of Standard newspaper. Other measures, 80% pay cut by the president and his deputy, 30% salary cut for cabinet secretaries and chief administrative secretaries, and then a 20% reduction on principal secretary salaries. I think that's a good thing and a good demonstration. I know people had a lot to say yesterday on social media. 80%, that's a drop in the ocean for them. And it reminded me of the story of the young man on the beach and the starfish. You remember that story of this young man who was walking along the beach, and so many starfish had been washed ashore, and he was picking them one at a time and throwing them back into the ocean. And this other man looked at him and asked me, "What are you doing? You won't be able to save all of them. It is useless." And he picked up one and he threw it back in the ocean, and he said it made a difference for that one. And so let's not always criticize everything. Let's work together. I've been saying, unless we learn to work together, we will not beat this thing. Looking at other stories making headlines, hope amid anxiety as virus patient recovers. That whole story is here. And then Prince Charles tests positive for coronavirus. That's also another story that hit out yesterday. A lot of people were talking about it. Angalia hiyo maneno. What else is making headlines in the local dailies today? Poor states between a rock and a hard place on COVID-19. Fighting pandemic requires concerted economic action at the international level, especially with respect to developing countries. Angalia hiyo maneno. So there's quite a bit on the coronavirus in the local dailies today. Also, state staff rules for those under mandatory quarantine. That story is also here. Something on education and children being at home. It's not a holiday. You can update yourself on that. I'm trying to get to the center pages. Home and away. Messy planners ruin posh suburbs. Exclusive status. Allowing mixed-use developments in urban market areas has led to a congestion and see them lose their prestige as enclaves for the rich. Take a look at that. In sports, FIFA rejects call, trashes tribunal ruling on FKF. And then there's quite a bit in here. Big challenge for Kenyans as World Under-20 postponed. And then also why Injera believes future of Kenya's sevens rugby is safe. Nation wanasema nini? Kenya under curfew. I think the last time we had a curfew was during the 1982 coup, if I'm not wrong. You know, a curfew that hit the whole nation. I was in class 82, nilikuwa class gani? Sitawaambia, mtaanza calculate miaka yangu. Niulizeni miaka yangu kama mnataka kujua. But I remember how scared we were. I remember soldiers coming into our homes to check all the electronics and if we had receipts for them. That one was a different kind of curfew. This one is where we stay home for our own safety and we take care of one another. President Kenyatta opts for dusk to dawn lockdown in a bid to save the economy from a total shutdown. Tax relief to cushion Kenyans and businesses which have been hit hard by the COVID-19 outbreak. And then initial patients, 0 fully recovered. That's a good story right there. Now Usafi hapa. Cleaners wash Harambee Avenue in Nairobi Central Business District. The government is taking measures to ensure it fights the spread of COVID-19. It's very interesting. Let me digress a bit. It's very interesting. You see, now we are washing streets and it makes sense. I remember some time back, some streets were being washed and we were making noise about it. It's interesting how the same thing, looking at it from a different perspective, can either make sense or it can look utterly ridiculous. That one was for free. I'll not charge you for that one. What else is making headlines here? Curfew declared in war on coronavirus. All the details here. Guide to surviving a total lockdown. Essential things you need to have. You need to take a look at that infographic. It's got some very good information to help us. And then apart from coronavirus, is there anything else making headlines today? There's something about protecting Kenya's food system in the midst of this coronavirus pandemic. You can find out what that article is saying. And then a lot from the counties. City Hall scales up garbage collection to boost cleanliness. I'm hoping that this will not be just a one-time thing. This is something that will continue. You know, back in the day when we were growing up, there was Camero. You remember Camero? Camero used to come. In fact, the Nairobi City Council, as it was known back then, would give us free dustbins. Dustbins zile za chuma. You know, you would go with your water bill, they would give you a free dustbin. They would collect the old one, they would pick garbage every week, sometimes even twice a week. And we would get excited when the Camero would come and we had a song. We would sing about Camero. I don't know if anyone tuned in this morning can remember that song. If you can remember it, SMS me that song. WhatsApp 0786316316 is my number. DN2, built for disaster. The need to back up offices in case of crisis was inspired by the 9/11. It's all about architecture. It's all about homes. Take a look at that. And then there's also quite a bit in sports concerning the Olympics and how it has been affected. And then also talking about sports at a crossroads because of this pandemic. That's about it in the local dailies. I can't tell you all the stories. Ndio pia ununue gazeti ama uende online uangalie gazeti, find out other stories that are making headlines in the local dailies today. Shortly, we get into our discussion for today, where relationships at home, stress is concerned. If you're at home, husband, wife at home, how is this whole scenario playing out for you? Is it becoming harder to stay in the house? Talk to us even as we get into this discussion. And by the way, I'm inviting you to ask questions and to share your opinions and what you are going through in this hour as we continue going through this. Welcome to the Relationship Clinic. In studio with me today, I have Faith Gishanga, a counseling psychologist from Amani Counseling Center. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Are you guys also working from home?
We are on, so yes, what we are going to be doing is having telecounseling or virtual counseling. So it remains open, but not on one-on-one basis.
Okay.
Yes.
Telecounseling.
Telecounseling.
Is this something that has been there? I may invent to suddenly.
It's been there,
okay,
but now it's more heightened. I mean, ideally, it's better when it's on a one-on-one basis.
Okay.
But we are living those times. But it's there. It's been there because not everyone can access as a center or can be able to visit one of our offices.
Okay.
So there's a number people can call. It's a main line. I think it's available.
We'll give them that number as we continue with our discussion for today. I'm just wondering, in this season, have you seen a heightened number of people who are seeking counseling services? Or are things just kama kawaida?
So there are, and even though we know they're there, even just from our interactions with people and not necessarily coming into the center, because even as they come to the center, they're not necessarily even attributing what they're going through with the pandemic. But just our interactions with people out there or on social media, our family members, ourselves, we know that people are getting affected psychologically. For sure.
Okay. I think one of the most important things that we are not really talking much about is the whole issue of mental wellness in this whole scenario. We are talking a lot about the physical wellness, washing our hands and all these things we need to do, and that's okay. But there are a lot of mental issues that surround the scenario we find ourselves in. People are being laid off. The previous hour I was hosting Pastor Ngaira, and quite a number of people actually sending in SMSs and saying, I'm at home, I was laid off, I don't know what to do. So you have a scenario here, people have been laid off, they have to stay in the home, the children are at home.
True.
What does this do to people mentally? What are the typical things that we need to be aware of in a situation like this?
Okay. All right. So when we are looking at psychological wellness, we can look at it in three different facets.
Okay.
So there's the emotional, just the emotions and the feelings, basically.
Yes.
And then there's our thoughts, what's going on in our minds and in our thoughts. And then how does that manifest in behavior? So we can start with the emotional. So there's a sense of loss, as you've said, people are losing jobs.
Yeah.
And those who are not losing jobs, they're going on unpaid leave. Some are getting pay cuts.
Yeah.
So there's a sense of loss. And I know ideally when we think of loss, we think of when you lose a loved one. But a loss is a loss. A loss, and we grieve and mourn any loss that we experience, yes. So, and there are many losses that are being experienced right now.
Yeah.
So that one is just one of them, career and financial. There's the loss of freedom.
That's a big one.
There's a loss of freedom
That's a big
as well,
one.
yes.
Yeah.
So people can just move around as they want to, you can't just decide you want to go for swimming or you want to go to your favorite restaurant.
Yeah.
It's just loss of freedom. And this time even not money can save us, not, so there's
Very
that.
true.
And that also brings loss of control. People, you feel out of control.
In fact, it's interesting you say that because somebody was telling me yesterday that they feel so confined, they can't even go and hang out with their boys and watch football. Now, for me, that is not a big thing because I'm not a football fanatic. But I thought, Yani, that's a serious issue in somebody's life right now. And I may take it for granted.
It is. In fact, I saw someone who had posted on their social media. They'd said, please check up on the football lovers.
Yes.
They're suffering. Because even at home,
Yeah.
the Premier League has stopped. So
Yes.
there's really no soccer going on.
Yeah.
So even from home, they can't. Now, you need to realize that for some people, that's an escape. You've had a long week, you've been doing this. So that's a release and an escape.
Yeah.
So now we're in this situation where so much is going on.
Yeah.
Psychologically, we don't know. There's disease. We don't know if it's going to catch us. And we're not able to turn to that one thing that we like to do. So
Yes.
for someone it's soccer, for someone else it's something else, going to a restaurant, someone else is traveling. And we can do that. So that's what it means for them. So you're just under this pressure and there's no release. So that's why. So it's not just about football, it's about the release.
Okay.
Yes. But also boredom. Again, I'm in the house. Okay, so I've done the work that I'm supposed to do for my boss. I've played with the children, I've done my chores. Then what? We need that recreation just for us to be energetic and to feel alive.
Does this make people irritable?
It does. And that now comes in the behavior. We get irritable, and that comes with conflict. And now that we're talking about families. So one of the things that we're going to see is husbands quarreling wives more, or the other way around,
Yeah.
wives quarreling, but just because of the irritability. You'll even see children, if they can't go out to play.
Yes,
If
that's a big one.
Yes, it's at home, and a lot of them at home, yes, they do homework and do studying, but it's not the place where from morning to evening they're actually looking at their books. That environment is not like that. So you'll also see in kids, the irritability can be seen in many ways. Maybe you'll just see behavioral problems, some aggression a bit. So we also, as parents, we need to understand when you see your child behaving in a way that is not normal. Again, play is very important for children. It's not just about fun. It helps them grow, and of course, just even mental well-being. So without that, even the children are irritable. So yes, irritability is on.
I'm trying to picture this house where everybody is just irritated and you're thinking, what do we do? But let me take you back to the emotional thing. because women talk. You know, women talk, women discuss, women will call one another, chat. Men don't talk that much, yeah? And the release, like you said, for many people is not football. So I'm just trying to figure out what is going on in this man's head and how can he be helped? Because probably he's not talking about his job loss or his pay cut, and in his mind he's trying to put figures together, it's not working, and this is affecting him mentally, but he doesn't know how to go about it because we usually just don't talk. We go in a cave. What do you do to this husband of yours who's in that space?
Okay, so first of all, one of the things we can be grateful even in times of such situations because some things are changing.
Yeah.
And one of the things, we're saying the world is getting reset, and maybe this is the time now we can encourage men. Okay, so this is what you've been doing, and it's not been working. How about we start talking? Because that's important, and not just for men, even for women. How about let's talk about how we're feeling. Luckily, we might not meet face to face, but there are phone calls. People are in WhatsApp groups. I know men who are in, accountability groups. Let's express ourselves. It's different times which will call for different measures. So maybe that group, we use it for investment, we use it for this, but never really get to talk about what we are going on and our emotions about it.
Yeah.
So this is a good time to express yourself. Number two, couples are getting reconciled and closer and more intimate. This is a time for that. If your wife is the person who's there with you, express yourself to her. Talk to her about these things. Yeah? For so long, again, I think men have been socialized to, take it in, have the front of, I'm strong, but women would want to partner with you, and sometimes it's just that maybe it's not that I'll bring the money, but just tell you I understand and it's okay, and maybe I'll even help. Okay, can we scale down this and this and this in the house? Yeah, so it would be nice for them to start talking and expressing themselves. I don't think anything can replace that. That's one of the main things that I can recommend.
Okay,
yes.
What if you have the kind of wife who she keeps pushing the buttons? Here you are, the job is not very secure anymore, you're on half pay, but it seems like these people are not understanding what you're talking about. They still want to live ile maisha ya kuamkia sausage na kulalia hamburger, and you're telling them, guys, we are not sure about next month, but they're still asking and asking and asking. How does a family begin to work together? Because sometimes I find when I have some discussions here and there with some men, they say, I don't think they seem to understand the burden that I carry and what I'm going through.
Okay. Yeah. And that's valid. Now, it's one thing probably to just say, times are hard.
Yes.
So, Pastor James, if maybe every month you tell us times are hard, but we still, so we got used to that. Yeah? So maybe openness. I've had some people say they went and put the pay slip, say this is how it is. I mean, I think it would be very difficult if I can see really this is what it is, to ask for something beyond that. So maybe how you're saying it, I think it's important. And openness is very important.
Okay.
I would want to say, so if then this wife is still pushing, then I think now it's a bit being unreasonable on her side and not on the man. And there's just so much, again, he can do.
Yes.
The response of the wife, that's now up to her. But openness will go a long way.
Okay. If some of these issues are not dealt with, and you see we're in a situation where we don't know how long this whole period will be. From tomorrow we start getting into a curfew from 7 until 5. And we don't know if things will escalate to a place where we may eventually get into a total lockdown. If this breadwinner, let's not just assume it's the man, maybe it can be a lady as well. I'm thinking maybe even of a single mother. Yeah, if they keep all these things bottled up, where could that lead them?
And unfortunately, even as I answer your question, even as we talk about this emotional and thought issues that we are going through, it doesn't mean they will last. If tomorrow the pandemic is over and lockdown is over, that they will automatically go away. Yeah. So this is going to be something that will have to be dealt with for a while. Mental issues, unfortunately, we say it's not sometimes like physical, where you can prescribe a pill and you know within this time
Yes.
you'll be okay.
Yes.
So it's something that people are going to experience for a while. So one of the things it can be people can experience is trauma. Someone who has been locked up, maybe they live alone, and the world just sounds like it's falling apart. You're worried about your loved ones, your friends, you're worried about your job, you're worried about the world, you know, basically. So people can develop trauma. People can develop depression. Isolation, just and the sense of hopelessness. And as you say, we don't know when, you know, sometimes if we knew, even if it's up to December, you can marshal your strength.
There's a way you plan yourself mentally.
Because you know there is that exit on December 31st.
Yes.
But here we don't have that. So you can be caught up in just a sense of hopelessness of it's another day. It's another day. It's another day. So that is also something that can come about. Just basically mental illnesses, depression, and such.
Okay. Listen to this SMS, even as we invite your thoughts and your questions. This one says, my spouse's escape is work. That's how he escapes. He works. So he goes to sit idle in our shop. Now he has a flu, which has put all of us in the family into confusion. We are wondering, is it corona? And none of us wants to move close to him. How do you deal with a situation like that?
Okay. I think
his escape is work.
Yeah.
He goes to the shop and sits idle the whole day. Now with this flu, I'm not even thinking he can go to the shop. And at home, everybody wants to keep away from him. How does he handle that?
Okay. So sometimes we get stuck like this just because of uncertainty and unawareness. I think first things first, it's to find out, is it corona or is it just any other flu, so that then we can know how to go ahead. Because if it's corona, there is a way it needs to be handled. And that's a different issue, not even for me and you here. But then if it's just a flu, it could even be, if really his escape is work and he's not working, there are things we call somatic, psychosomatic symptoms. People will start developing symptoms of, you know, maybe like headaches or, you know, they're physical, physiological symptoms, but it's out of stress. So stress brings about some of those. So it could be that. But again, as I said, this pandemic has come to help us reset. This is a good time for him to think about his life in other ways. And even as a family, how different can we live as a family? What activities? It's been, you come home from work, we have a few words and you go to sleep. But it's time to sit and we have a new normal and we can't continue the way we've been doing. So people need to be more creative and reinvent how they do things.
Do you have any questions for us this morning as we talk about mental wellness and the COVID-19 situation that we find ourselves in? How are relationships at home challenged with everybody in the house? Talk to us. WhatsApp is 0786316316. My SMS today is not working, so use my WhatsApp number 0786316316. Hujambo asubuhi ya leo. Relationship clinic, mental wellness, and the COVID-19 circumstances we find ourselves in. How are these affecting the family? Your thoughts and your questions on WhatsApp, 0786316316. You can ask your questions. You know, we got to talk to a gentleman on phone just about this whole situation and how they're finding it working from home. How is that working for them? I want you to listen to this conversation.
Things may change, let me tell you. Like right now, I'm calling you from home. Yeah, I'm the lucky ones wenye tumejipata tunawa kutoka nyumbani. No hassles, no going anywhere. Kumbe, tulikuwa tunafikiria ni easy. It's not easy. Like kama jana, nimpigiwa simu, kuna project nilikuwa nimeacha, so ilikuwa pending. Nasikia phone call, rider ako hapo nje. Ni nini imetumwa? A whole project that I'm supposed to do, which has limited time yenye nimepatiwa. Wacha nikwambie, I was like, maybe it's a good thing, I don't know, but nikasema ni sawa. On my starting point kuanza tu hivi, ndo huyo mkidi. Dad, I want this. yani zikakuja ni kama zilikuwa zimeandikwa kwa karatasi ama zilikuwa zimeline hapo hivi, this is what I want, na hawachi. Alafu unajipata sahi like right now umeka kwa hao ndio wewe wife kwa hapo, uka kidogo unasikia honey, kuna hizi vitu tunafaa kufanya, kuna hizi vitu tunafaa kununua, which it's okay, but at the same time na wonder if kama singekuwa nyumbani ama stress right now we are going through, because I've tried, that was yesterday, I've been home for the last 3 weeks trying the same thing but it's not working. Yani ni ile ambako unajipata unataka ku walk out uende, but at the same time you can. The word that flashes in your mind, lockdown. Huwezi enda, you're going to stay there. I don't think imekuwa easy sana. Alafu story nyingine unajipata ni zile like I'm a very very huge fan of ball, na maboys wangu siwenda kuona ball, kasi ball, vitu zingine zenye siufanya. I'm a fan of vehicles, so like ile mnajipata zin like tunafaa kutoka hivi tuende nje na maboys, you can't. So I don't think so. I don't think it's not easy at all. Mpaka saa hii ni ile mpaka umekatu hivi unajishuku wewe mwenyewe, as in yes you're working, you projects zinatuma to your home zinakuja, but you don't know what's next for us. Yani for this situation right now we have, unajipata as in like mnapata ni retrenchment. There's so many people who are losing their jobs right now just because the company where they're working from, they cannot sustain workers sahi na hii situation. I don't know what we're going to do, but things are hard, and if we get tutajipata like now we are at a lockdown, the serious one, itakuwa ngumu sana.
That's Joseph. Joseph, thank you so much for talking to us earlier on. I don't know what you think about what Joseph is saying. He brings out quite a couple of things. Some we've already talked about, the whole issue of working from home, not being sure how long this will last, the stress at home with the kids and the wife, and they keep asking for this and this, and also the whole issue of the outlet. He can't go watch soccer with his friends. There's no soccer to watch.
Yes, that's true. He's represented a very good number of people.
Yes.
I think those are the things that are coming up quite often. Now, let me start with the work. Remember when I said some of the effects are emotional.
Yes.
So he's brought out a part of now the cognitive, our thoughts, how are our thoughts being affected. A lot of people are saying, I'm not motivated to work.
Yeah.
I can't concentrate. So those are some of the effects of the social distancing on our thoughts. So it will be even lack of creativity. The people who are creatives right now, they're really suffering.
My wife keeps telling me, I've never understood this. Now it's beginning to make sense. My wife keeps telling me, ukikuja kwa hao, when you come home, I don't want to do anything. I just find myself, I want to be lazy. Now it's making sense for those who are trying to work at home and things are not working.
It's true that those are real. And another thing is forgetfulness. Let me even have a self-disclosure. I could not have trusted myself to come here without notes. Normally, I'm able to have this conversation,
Yes.
but just this environment, I've realized personally, I've become very forgetful. Yeah.
Wow.
So those are so now you can see how him and other people are struggling with the work. So some of the things that people can do, number one is to define spaces in the house. Now, if I sit here, is where I eat, is where I work, is where I'm helping with homework,
Yes.
that will be a problem. So it's important to change position. So you can define spaces and say, okay, if it's work, this is my workspace. Just the same way at work, that helps. When you go to an office and sit somewhere, your
Yes.
mind sets into work mode. So you can define that in the house. Just have this space and say, this is where I'll be working from.
Yeah.
And for the children as well, they also need such spaces. As much as it's possible, we know, not everyone has this big house, but as much as it's possible, we can separate the work space from the social place. Then I will leave my work desk and go have food, lunch, also those breaks. Yeah. So try and make it as a normal office or school environment as possible. Number two, so yes, there might not be soccer, and also he doesn't realize that soccer and all those other things that he likes doing not only takes away boredoms, but feeds into his energy to work. So those are not there anymore.
And even your creativity.
Yes, and your creativity as
Yes.
well. So again, when you say redefining some of these things, what are some of the other things we can do? I think we can still exercise at home.
Yeah.
And you know, the best thing is that we can now do this with our spouses and our children. You know, we can learn to enjoy. Maybe it's something that has been foreign for a lot of people, but it is possible. We can say, you know, let's do a healthy lifestyle, let's exercise. So that was one of the things about working. So first of all, people need to give themselves grace. It's a different environment, number one. Number two, even as you're trying to concentrate, there's so much going on and so much noise. So you're under a lot of stress. So productivity, even for employers, maybe this is another thing. They need to give grace to their employees as people adjust to working from home and with the noise that is going on around the world.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So for children saying daddy, daddy, well, I think it's another thing. So we can define spaces, but we can also have structure in the house. This is one of the things that we've thrown out of the door. Now, if the children used to sleep at 8, can we maintain that? If meal times are this and this, if at this and this time they're doing something else. So if you put structure, hence, when you're working, they're also doing their schoolwork. Yeah? So it's not easy because we are not teachers and we are not, which is another frustration I know parents are going through. But as much as it's possible, structure really helps. Number one, just for you to be able to get time and everyone to be able to do things. But
I like that idea of structure, because sometimes I think we also forget the children, because the children are also in a space that's kawaida but not kawaida.
Very true.
Yeah, they're at home but they can't go out.
True.
They're at home but we keep reminding them you're not on holiday, and they're thinking, what do you mean I'm not on holiday? I am at home. School's closed, but I'm supposed to be doing school in the house. And then there's this virus that you guys are talking about. We haven't seen anybody with it. We are just hearing about it. And my friends are playing outside, but you're saying I can't go out. So I think we also need to understand that for our kids, there's also a lot going on, and we need to be able to work with them.
Very true, very true. And children work well with structure. Structure helps them to be able to get more done, even the parents as well. So the structure will go a long way. And yes, it's true. Let's also remember that these kids, in fact, they're thinking not just any holiday, but December holiday, when even mommy and daddy are home. You know, so it's a time, it's confusing to them.
I have two questions. Maybe we can get into them before we run out of time.
Okay.
This one says, for me it's quite hard because I have a mother-in-law who came in while sick. She has recovered and has taken over my house. His son is so attached to her, and things are not so good for me. Now imagine being locked up with these two people. Though me and my husband are believers, and the mom is not. Oh my goodness. She came in 2018 and she's not ready to move out. Through God's grace, though God's grace has been sufficient for me, kindly advise. And then she says, and by the way, imagine we are not of the same tribe. So even worse, they talk their tribe, and me, I'm just sitting there. God have mercy on me. Wow.
I feel like this person really needed an outlet.
Yes, she did.
Corona or not, because
Corona or
it's
not,
28. It's a problem for 2018. But you know, I appreciate, and she might not be the only one going through this. So maybe some of the things that she can do is be assertive. Be assertive with the husband. And now, assertiveness is not aggressiveness. It's just being firm. First of all, expressing yourself the way she's expressed herself, and then being firm and saying things. Now, we can't send her away, so the mom has to stay. But it's me and you who are the owners of this home. Now, something in marriage and family therapy, so we call it the family systems, and there's an order, and whenever that order is put in another way, things will go wrong. So the first rank is the spouses, the two of them. And then second is the children. And then third are extended family. So that even extended family, and that's another thing that is really hard for couples to hear when they get married. When you're told, now your mother is extended family from now, because your spouse and your children become the nuclear family. So what is happening is that the extended family is coming above even the spouse, one of the spouses.
Yeah.
So that will bring problems.
Okay.
Yeah. So in fact, mother-in-law, the good grandmothers, and we love them.
Yeah.
They don't even come on top of the children. In a family system,
Yes.
it's supposed to be like that. And when that is a bit... So we do respect them and we do respect their opinion, but at the same time, we need to be firm and be able to run this family the way as a couple we can. But now, so the other thing is that she may not be the one to talk to the mother-in-law.
Yes. I was going to ask that.
Yes,
Yeah.
she may not be the one. So she needs to communicate with her husband
Yes.
to be able to have that talk with the mom. The husband is not protecting her.
Yes.
He has just left her. And I understand, but he's probably not doing that out of malice. But how do I tell my mother this? It's hard. So that's hard part of adulting, but it needs to be done. It needs to be done. Otherwise, that family is going to so many conflicts, and with the stress of what is going on,
Yes.
it can
Makes
go
it even
bad.
worse.
Yeah, it can go bad.
Let's handle one more before we run out of time. Thank you for this great program. It's very useful. Now, I lost my job in December. My husband is not working as well. Auctioneers have given us notice to take away our things, and now we have this lockdown. How do I handle all this stress?
I was about to joke and say, at least we know auctioneers will not be coming during this time. So,
Yeah, also, auctioneers, stay home. Work from home.
So, but and maybe sometimes those are the small things.
Yes.
To look forward to. The fact that at least I have a grace period of. Honestly, I doubt any auctioneer would really
Yes.
come at this time.
Yes.
I think
Yes,
you can even.
I agree with you.
So just that. So during this time, it's time to think. What can we do? What can we do? How can we start a biashara?
Yeah.
How can we put our minds together? The thing is, the stress, as you said, the stress makes you not be able to think through. But they can have a conversation. Luckily, we have so much. Instead of using social media and all this to keep receiving negative news, we can use, there's YouTube, there's so much material online. And so it's a good time to indulge and find out what is out there.
Yeah.
What are other people doing? What ideas can I get?
Yes.
So
Okay.
it can be a good time for them to see it. Write down goals, write down objectives. Yes.
Okay. What final tips can you give us for families, especially now that we have to stay? We keep reading about how Noah was locked in the ark with his family, and the Lord shut the door. We find ourselves in that kind of a situation right now. How can we maximize on this time? And then maybe you can give us that number you talked about for anybody who may feel like they need to take this further and have a conversation. They could maybe call that number.
Okay, right. So we will need to strike a balance between maintaining normalcy. So continuing to do, if it's schedules, if it's duties, normalcy, but be flexible enough in the face of adjustment. So we also need to adjust because new things are happening.
Yes.
We've never had to homeschool before. We probably never had to work before. So it's striking a balance. We do need the old, but we also need to be flexible enough to adjust to the new norm. Homeschooling, I know, is one of the things that has really been difficult for the parents. But interestingly, as the days go by, it's people adjusting. I'm seeing people sharing. I think now, people are sharing information and all. So I'm not saying it's at 100% and everyone is happy about it, but I can see a change of attitude towards it. And maybe that's something else. Can we change an attitude? You said earlier how about roads being washed at one time was
crazy.
Bad. Washing roads now is good. The difference is just the attitude, about it. So let's change our attitude towards some of these things. If, probably we don't have a house help, can we have the man chipping in some of the duties? Because this lady's also working at the job, probably the 8 to 5, but just from home, and she has to take care of the kids. So we can have, let's just change our attitude towards a lot of these things, number one. Number two, we need to, there's a correlation between our spirituality and mental health.
Very true.
Yeah, and so that's something else we need to. It's one of those times which everything is shut down, including church, that place that we can run to. But it doesn't mean that we can continue, exercising our faith.
Yes.
Faith gives hope. When we think about, like, for us who are Christians, it gives us hope. Just today, I was sent for a verse, those who trust in the Lord will renew their strength.
Yes.
It encouraged me.
Yeah.
So it's important, number one. Number two, it gives meaning to even the pain. You know, there are people who are saying, it's time for us to get back to God.
Yeah.
So it gives meaning to what is going on. So it's important, and just a sense of peace. And then when probably you listen to worship music, you feel uplifted. So
Great.
it's important also to continue exercising our spirituality.
What's that number somebody can call in case they need help?
So the number of Amani Counseling Center and Training Institute is 0722 62 6590.
One more time.
0722 62 6590.
Okay.
They will be attended to.
62 65 90. 0722 62 65 90. I'm out of time for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this discussion has been beneficial to you. Tomorrow we'll be having Lifestyle Friday. This whole week, as we've been looking at the story of the Good Samaritan, we've been talking about solutions. There are people in the community who are coming together of their own accord and providing solutions, especially to the less fortunate in this period that we are going through. We'll be hosting such a group tomorrow to find out what drives them and what are they doing and how can you be a part of what they are doing. Otherwise, the show continues on radio all the way until 10.